What's up everyone? Alex here. The death of turn-based JRPGs has been greatly exaggerated. Every single year, there have been incredible games coming out in this genre that try to push boundaries in many directions. And while these might not carry astronomical budgets much like their Western counterparts, what can't be denied is that the ambition is still there, as well as fiscal responsibility. Starting with this video, I'm gonna list 10 great turn-based JRPGs that you absolutely should try at least once. Now, this video alone isn't gonna cover every single great turn-based JRPG, so I'm gonna need your help to continue the series. So do me a favor and nominate your favorite turn-based JRPG in the comments below, and let me know why it should be featured in a future list. And if you're shy and you don't want to comment, just like the comments that speak to you. I also want to conduct a fun experiment. If you're still watching, put the initials I, W, T, and I at the beginning of your comment before anything else. This will let me know that you watched the intro. I'm eager to see how many of you actually watched this part. Before I get into the list, I want to quickly talk about Heroes of Drakemire, who are sponsoring this video. Heroes of Drakemire follows a party of quirky adventurers through an epic fantasy quest to save the world from sinister magic. Along the way, they'll face dangers that test the bonds of family, friends, and destiny. True to JRPGs, the game is also packed with side quests to keep the adventure going. Heroes of Drakemire also has a unique look and feel, but the turn-based gameplay and dialogue-forward story should be familiar to fans of JRPGs. The game features 6 playable party members, 8+ quests across 50+ maps, and turn-based combat with dozens of skills and spells to train and upgrade. The developers are huge fans of 90s JRPGs, and this game has been a labor of love for 3 years. There's a demo on Steam that you can play right now, and you can find out more by visiting their Steam page, which is linked in the description of this video. The first game on this list is a game that has showed up in almost every single JRPG list I've released this year, and that is Octopath Traveler 2. If you haven't played this game, I urge you to put it at the front of your backlog and play it. Octopath Traveler 2 is a huge improvement from the first game in every single way, from the speed of its combat, its storytelling, and its lore. Think about that. Best of all, Square Enix just announced that the game will be arriving on Xbox and Windows PC platforms, which is funny because it's already out on Steam for PC, in early 2024. And yes, despite so many awesome RPGs that have since come out, it is still in the running as my game of the year this year. That is how incredible this game is. Final Fantasy Tactics is a game that so many of you wanted me to talk about in many other lists that not including it in this list would be outright criminal. What's great about Final Fantasy Tactics is its ability to blend elements of Final Fantasy with an intensely political story that can only be delivered by its director, Yasumi Matsuno, the creator of the Ogre Battle series. It features memorable characters in the form of Ramza and Delita, a bright and fully 3D presentation that allows us to see the battlefield better, as well as gorgeous effects that made it stand out from other games in the genre. And with the rumors of a remake, I wouldn't mind seeing Final Fantasy Tactics released on modern platforms, especially now that there's a ton of new fans of the genre. Speaking of another game that you all thought I snubbed because of its ranking in my Final Fantasy Rankings video, I actually consider Final Fantasy IX as one of my favorites. The only reason why it ranked so low was because I hadn't really played it through since it got released. But rest assured, I am rectifying this and have it installed on my Steam Deck, and I'm working to get Moguri installed on it. Final Fantasy IX is widely considered as the modern culmination of every single Final Fantasy trope and theme that's appeared throughout the series in its first decade and a half, and masterfully combines all of them into an adventure that pays homage to all of them. Now, to be fair, I consider the older games as the more authentic retro Final Fantasy experience, but Final Fantasy IX showed us what a classic Final Fantasy would feel like had it had the same budget as the other PlayStation Final Fantasies. And you know what's crazy about this game? It was released a year before 10. We've never, ever had Final Fantasies released this fast, ever. A list with great turn-based JRPGs needs the latest Persona title, which is why Persona 5 Royal is in this list. Pushing aside the fact that some of its gameplay redesigns have significantly made this game easier, Persona 5 Royal gave us so much to do and so much more time to do things with. For me, it was a fun replay of a game that I absolutely loved when it first came out years prior, while allowing me to relax and take my time to make all the necessary decisions and choices I needed to make to maximize my party's potential. And let's not forget the awesome cast, the way Makoto snuck around the subways, the incredible dungeon that featured Futaba, and that acid jazz soundtrack, the UI. Everything in Persona 5 Royal pushed the genre forward, demonstrating that you don't need ultra-realism or a higher budget to make a modern JRPG masterpiece. This should get you all excited for next year's Metaphor ReFantasio, since Persona 5's creative team is working on that one. Another must-include game on this list is Chrono Trigger. I've been playing Chrono Trigger on my Steam Deck recently, and I have fallen in love with it again. Granted, it doesn't have a lot of the modern conveniences of newer JRPGs, but so much of it holds up to modern scrutiny that it doesn't even matter to me. I think what I love the best about Chrono Trigger and most games of this era is that its translators had to be very concise with how they conveyed the storytelling because of the amount of space in each cart. What this resulted is an adventure that not only has multiple endings, but one that also lets you jump into the gameplay quickly with minimal fuss. So if you're thinking of making a game similar to Chrono Trigger, do me a favor and be concise and save the big moments where it really needs it. Jack Move was a game that really surprised me last year, and bears the distinction of being one of the games I mentioned that is not only concise, but saves the big moments where it needs it. Even though you can only play as one character in Jack Move, I appreciate how beautiful its animations and environments were, which is where all the attention went. There's also a lot of really good customizations to be had with its memory chip system that feels like a newer take on Final Fantasy VII's Materia system, which is a game that influenced Jack Move a ton. I don't often commend JRPGs with game feel, but playing Jack Move's turn-based battles was fun, responsive, and genuinely challenging. And it's a pretty fun, engaging, and brisk JRPG to boot. I will not stop advocating for folks to check out Trails from Zero, and by association, Trails to Azure. Trails from Zero was one of those games that I thought I could skip reviewing, given how many people have probably played it. But then, I was genuinely surprised how engaging and enthralling the entire adventure was. This game introduced us to the SSS, Lloyd Banning's crew, as we uncovered the seedy depths of Crossbell's underground while maintaining the peace and order of the city. Even though its presentation isn't fully 3D, the story and its characters really gripped me like no other Trails game before. And with the Crossbell duology now released in the West, there's really no excuse not to experience this amazing set of games. Let's take a quick trip back to the PS1 era and talk about a game that many fans wanted me to talk about for a very long time, which is Xenogears. Yes, Xenogears is flawed thanks to the second disc, but that does not take away at all from its combat, fantastic soundtrack from Yasunori Mitsuda, and its incredible presentation. Xenogears has Mecha, a martial arts combo system, compelling villains in id and graph, and some light platforming that makes this game truly special. It's always a joy to pop in Xenogears from time to time just to experience its awesome combat system. And I'm hoping that maybe someday this game will get a remake that lifts it up to even greater heights. Every time I hear the overworld theme for Dragon Quest VIII, I swoon. It always takes me back to the time when I hung out with Yangus, Jessica, Angelo, and the king and princess as they traveled across the world to help rid the latter two of their cursed visages. What's crazier still is that there are two very different versions of the game available. One, originally released on the PS2 with a fully orchestrated soundtrack, while the other, released on the 3DS and subsequently mobile, which has a MIDI soundtrack but a ton of quality of life features such as seeing enemies on the field. While I played Dragon Quest III back in the day and loved it, Dragon Quest VIII made me return to a series that I once loved and turned me into a lifelong fan all at the same time. and it's even opened me up to the possibility of trying the older Dragon Quests that I have missed. Fantasian is the last game that the legendary composer Nobuo Uematsu will ever compose a complete soundtrack for, and the melodies that you'll hear in it stand as a testament to the skills and talent that he's honed making music spanning several decades. But better yet, Fantasian answers the question of, what if Final Fantasy VII veered towards a different direction? Which was something Sakaguchi admitted was the impetus for this project. My personal favorite feature of Fantasian has got to be its dimension battle system, which allows you to deposit enemy encounters for a later time in order to face these groups of enemies all at once. And the abilities in Fantasian were super fun and allowed for some truly fun combinations and battle encounters. And with a rumored Steam release coming soon, I'm hoping that it won't be long for more people to experience the magic of Fantasian. As hinted at earlier, I also played a ton of JRPGs on my Steam Deck, and if you want to find out which games I've been playing on it, click the video up top and find out what these games are. And since this is going to become a series, I want you to nominate a JRPG that you think belongs in the series. Post your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.